beneath the scorching Egyptian sun lies far more than just sand. Hidden beneath the modern streets of Tel El-Dab'a, researchers have unearthed the ancient foundations of a palace that guarded its secrets for thousands of years. We often assume that the solid ground beneath our feet has been thoroughly explored and understood. This, however, is a profound illusion. Over the past few years, scientists have retrieved artifacts from below the surface that compel us to completely rewrite our history books. In this narrative, we will descend into the secret pits of ancient avarice, expose sealed antique reliquaries in Italy, discover a heavy padlock on the leg of a deceased child in Europe, and uncover a colossal void directly beneath the Great Pyramids. Finally, we will peer deep beneath the ocean floor, where researchers have made a discovery that defies every known law of biology. Archaeologists methodically removed layer after layer in the area of the ancient Egyptian city of Avaris. The heat was unbearable, and dust stung their eyes, yet the team pressed on, working with brushes and small trowels in the courtyard of a Hyksos-era palace. They hoped to find broken pottery, coins, or, if luck was on their side, gold jewelry. However, the brush of one researcher uncovered a bone, then another. The team carefully cleared the earth and froze in astonishment. Before them were 3 deep pits. Inside, there was no pottery or complete skeletons. Instead, at the bottom lay 16 massive human hands, and every single one of them was a right hand. The hands were neatly arranged in the earth, fingers pointing upwards, as if someone had carefully planted them like seeds. The size of the bones was striking. They clearly belonged to very large individuals, yet no other remains were found nearby, only these 16 right hands, concealed in the darkness of millennia. Internet forums instantly erupted with the most incredible conjectures. People speculated that such an odd collection of bones could not be accidental. Theories emerged about dark rituals performed by ancient priests, perhaps opening portals to other worlds. Mysticism enthusiasts claimed it was an offering to alien visitors who, for some unknown reason, required precisely this part of the human body. And due to the impressive size of the bones, many seriously believed archaeologists had stumbled upon traces of an ancient race of giants, long chronicled in old legends. But the reality proved to be far more grim and pragmatic. Scientists conducted a detailed osteological analysis and determined that the bones belonged to adult men from the Hyksos era, who had once conquered Egypt. In those distant times, the rules of warfare were exceptionally harsh. Severing the right hand of a vanquished opponent was not merely a symbolic gesture. It was a brutal act intended to permanently deprive the adversary of the ability to ever again wield a sword or spear. The victorious warrior would return to the palace, present this chilling trophy to the ruler, and cast it into a designated pit. For each such hand, he received a reward, which was known as gold of valor. It was a unique ancient currency, a cruel yet precise method of tallying triumphs. It is astonishing how, in ancient Egypt, human remains were used as proof of strength and a form of currency. Yet, in Europe, many centuries later, they were transformed into objects of incredible veneration. But what lay hidden for many years beneath velvet in an Italian church turned out to be incredibly far from sanctity. For centuries, a tightly sealed reliquary was kept in one of Italy's ancient Catholic churches. This was a specially crafted, richly adorned vessel, within which rested a mummified human hand. Generations of devout worshippers traveled vast distances to this church, genuinely believing that before them lay the incorruptible hand of an ancient saint, possessing incredible power to heal ailments and bestow good fortune. For many years, the clergy denied access to the artifact to scientists equipped with research instruments. Only between 2018 and 2022 did a group of persistent researchers finally secure official permission to place the sacred relic inside a powerful medical tomograph. When the first layered images appeared on the monitors, the results shocked both the scientists and the church representatives themselves. Prior to this moment, proponents of mysticism passionately argued that the tissues had not turned to dust solely due to potent divine energy. They spoke of a special energetic field that physically protected the organic matter from the destructive effects of time. People believed that the sanctity of the hand's owner had literally frozen the process of decay, defying the very laws of nature. However, the medical scanner and radiocarbon analysis ruthlessly shattered this beautiful legend. It revealed that the hand had been preserved through a completely natural mummification process, thanks to the extremely dry air within the chamber. Imagine a slice of an ordinary apple forgotten on a hot radiator. It doesn't rot, but simply dries out, becoming hard. The tissues of this hand had dried out in precisely the same way. But the most significant revelation lay within the bones themselves. Analysis of the structure showed that the hand belonged not to a righteous elder who spent his days in prayer, but to an anonymous medieval peasant. His joints were severely deformed, and the bone tissue was thickened at the muscle attachment points. Undeniable evidence of arduous physical labor throughout his life in the fields. His remains, through an incredible stroke of chance, had been elevated to an object of religious worship. Science, it seems, often strips away the veils from cherished myths and legends. Yet, sometimes modern instruments unearth something beneath the earth that even their own inventors refuse to believe. For instance, right under the noses of millions of tourists, near one of the world's most famous architectural wonders. In May 2024, a team of geophysicists slowly moved across an absolutely flat and unremarkable stretch of sand adjacent to the Great Pyramid of Giza. They pushed trolleys equipped with ground-penetrating radar, GPR, technology capable of scanning many meters deep into the earth. As dusk approached, the researchers were preparing to pack up camp when suddenly, their equipment began to display anomalous readings. On the computer screens, a gigantic L-shaped structure, over 10 meters long, was clearly visible, and the most astonishing discovery lay directly beneath it. The radars detected a colossal void. This was an enormous chamber, concealed deep beneath tons of dense sand. As soon as the news leaked online, the internet exploded. Conspiracy theorists from around the world rejoiced, proclaiming that the legendary Hall of Records, containing the knowledge of lost civilizations, had finally been found. Others asserted it was a hidden base for the very aliens who supposedly helped the Egyptians build the pyramids. A third group saw in its shape a secret labyrinth of the Masonic order, untouched by ordinary human feet for centuries. To understand the truth, one must know how ground-penetrating radar works. Imagine a bat emitting sound and listening for the echo to avoid crashing into a wall. GPR does the same thing, but it sends radio waves into the sand and waits for them to reflect off rocks or voids. After meticulously studying the density of the reflected signals, scientists arrived at an ingenious and simple conclusion. The anomaly was, in fact, a gigantic man-made trench, densely filled with limestone rubble and sand. Ancient engineers had used this enormous excavation either as a quarry for stone extraction or as a starter ramp for lifting heavy blocks upwards. Once construction was complete, the brilliant architects of the past simply covered their tracks, filling the technical pit with sand to make the area around the pyramids appear perfectly flat. No magic, just incredibly calculated and sophisticated engineering. While ancient Egyptians masterfully concealed building stones and traces of their work deep within the sands, medieval Europeans buried what they feared most in the world, employing truly unsettling methods. In northern Poland, within the small, quiet village of Pien, an archaeological expedition meticulously excavated a forgotten 15th-century cemetery. The work proceeded routinely until researchers stumbled upon a truly anomalous burial. In a shallow grave lay the remains of a small child. But that wasn't the disturbing part. The child had been laid face down, directly into the cold earth, and a massive, firmly locked iron padlock adorned their left leg. The metal had rusted with time, but the mere fact that someone had chosen to shackle the leg of a deceased infant with heavy iron sent shivers down the spine. Enthusiasts of Gothic lore and mysticism immediately declared that undeniable proof of dark forces had been found. In those times, people genuinely believed in vampires, curses, and demons roaming in the night. Theorists claimed that local villagers had recognized an unclean spirit in the child and shackled their leg to prevent them from emerging from the earth and returning to the village after sunset. The padlock seemed an absolute symbol of ancient magic and the battle against evil. The truth, however, proved to be far more tragic and deeply human. In those dark centuries, Europe was ravaged by devastating epidemics of cholera and tuberculosis. People back then knew nothing of bacteria and viruses, as microscopes had not yet been invented. Imagine their despair. An invisible disease simply claimed one family after another, and no one understood how it spread. From a place of absolute helplessness, peasants devised protective rituals. They believed that the first person to succumb to an unknown ailment could physically drain the life force from their living relatives. The padlock on the leg and the face-down position were not acts of hatred, but a desperate, grief-stricken attempt to isolate the source of misfortune. The iron padlock symbolized the definitive closing of the door between the world of the living and the world of the departed. Panic and fear of invisible diseases compelled peasants to invent strange rituals and dig unusual graves. But the fear of armed conflict led an entire people to retreat deep into the stone and construct a veritable underground metropolis there. In Turkey, workers were given a simple task: to clear an old, unassuming cave of debris and blockages. One worker struck a distant wall with a heavy pickaxe, and the rock unexpectedly crumbled away. A deep, cool draft emanated from the newly formed opening. Enlarging the passage, the workers switched on powerful flashlights and were awestruck. Behind the wall lay a long, straight tunnel that stretched far into the darkness. This was Mediad, a colossal underground city. In 2024, archaeologists began extensive excavations and uncovered entirely new, incredible levels. They found dozens of spacious rooms, intricate corridors, deep wells with pristine water, and even specialized grain storage facilities. The scale was so astounding that, according to preliminary estimates, this subterranean anthill could accommodate up to 70,000 people simultaneously. Naturally, videos from the underground instantly spawned incredible speculations. Some claimed it was an ancient refuge built to protect against a global flood. Fantasists asserted that such perfectly smooth walls and ceilings could not have been carved with ordinary tools. They seriously argued that the rock had been scorched by gigantic alien lasers or high-tech drills of a vanished civilization hiding from a past nuclear conflict. The true explanation, however, lies in the very geology of the region. The local rock formation is called tufa. This compressed volcanic ash possesses a unique property. As long as tufa remains underground and doesn't come into contact with the sun, it is incredibly soft. It can be scraped with an ordinary iron pickaxe as easily as scooping balls of slightly melted ice cream with a rounded spoon. But once this rock is exposed to the open air, it hardens and becomes as strong as concrete. The local inhabitants, seeking refuge from constant raids by Roman and Persian armies, retreated underground for generations. They carved out the soft stone, creating a unique ventilation system. Air circulated through the shafts so flawlessly that even today, researchers exploring the 5th or 6th underground level breathe perfectly fresh air. The survival of thousands of people within the dry stone is truly astonishing. But the most shocking discovery awaited researchers not in dry caves, but in a place where, according to all rules of elementary biology, no life should exist at all. A group of oceanographers was aboard a scientific vessel in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Their target lay at a depth of 2.5 kilometers. Imagine this abyss. Not a single ray of light penetrates there, and the water pressure is so monstrous that it would easily flatten an army tank. The scientists lowered a heavy underwater robot, equipped with highly sensitive cameras and a powerful drill, to this incredible depth. The robot reached the seafloor in the vicinity of hydrothermal vents. These are truly eerie places where black, boiling water mixed with corrosive minerals erupts from fissures in the Earth's crust. The temperature of this water can reach 400 degrees Celsius 752 degrees Fahrenheit, but due to the immense pressure, it does not boil. The task seems simple and routine, to drill into the rocky crust directly beneath this vent to collect mineral samples. The robot began to rotate its drill. The hard rock slowly yielded, and at some point, the metal cylinder unexpectedly broke through into a void. The operators on the ship, monitoring their screens, tensed. They activated additional underwater spotlights and directed the cameras into the newly formed borehole. What they saw on the monitors in the next second made the entire team hold their breath and literally leap from their seats. Directly within the planet's rocky crust, enormous voids were hidden. When footage from the underwater cameras went viral, proponents of the hollow Earth theory celebrated wildly. They asserted that this was direct, undeniable proof that an immense hidden world exists within our planet. An entire autonomous ecosystem where giant prehistoric reptiles or even unknown subterranean civilizations might still reside. Fantasists spun incredible theories, publishing diagrams of labyrinths stretching from one continent to another. Skeptics, however, rolled their eyes, suggesting it was merely a software glitch in the robot's equipment or a clever optical illusion. By all laws of school physics and biology, there simply couldn't be anything living or meaningful there, because at such depths there is not a single photon of sunlight, no oxygen in the conventional sense, and the toxic environment is capable of dissolving metal. But what the robot's camera recorded literally revolutionized the entire scientific world and made biologists gasp in disbelief. Within these dark, rocky pockets, directly beneath the ocean floor, life was incredibly active and teeming. Scientists observed colonies of enormous red tube worms and strange snails that felt perfectly comfortable in these subterranean reservoirs. They were not dependent on sunlight, which had never been and could never be present there. Instead of the familiar photosynthesis, they utilized a process called chemosynthesis. In simple terms, these creatures had transformed their organisms into tiny chemical factories. They fed on the poisonous substances emerging from the planet's scorching depths, processing toxic sulfur compounds into pure energy. This astounding discovery proved that life on Earth can flourish not only on the warm surface but also in complete darkness, under tremendous pressure, directly within the solid rocky shell of our planet. And this discovery has colossal implications. For if complex life is capable of hiding within rock on Earth, then our chances of finding life beneath the ice of distant planets increase by thousands of times. We searched for wonders high in space, yet all this time, they quietly existed right beneath our own Earth. Over the past few years, our technology has allowed us to peer into places where no ray of light had ever fallen before. We've learned that ancient warriors employed terrifying methods of tallying victories. Peasants, gripped by fear of invisible diseases, shackled the deceased with heavy iron. And the ingenious engineers of the pyramids cleverly concealed the true scale of their constructions beneath a layer of ordinary sand. We have witnessed how entire nations built secure metropolises within soft rock, and how, deep in the darkness of the ocean floor, the pulse of life stubbornly beats on. These discoveries prove one very important thing. The history of humanity and the history of Earth itself are being rewritten right before our eyes. We often feel that humanity has already explored every square meter of this world. We possess ultra-precise satellites that can discern a car's license plate from space. We have fast global internet and giant telescopes gazing at the very edge of the infinite universe. We confidently draw up plans to colonize Mars and prepare to mine valuable minerals from distant asteroids. Yet, our own planet remains the most mysterious place in the solar system. Earth is like a colossal ancient book, of which we have only managed to read the colorful cover and the preface. Just think about this tomorrow when you step outside, breathe the fresh air, and walk your familiar daily route. The solid asphalt beneath your feet is merely a thin film. And who knows what incredible mystery, what lost treasure, or forgotten history lies hidden right now, just 10 meters beneath your shoes. Our world still conceals millions of secrets, and the most intriguing ones are simply awaiting their moment to be revealed.